Do you ever wish you had a superpower to learn faster because there are too many things you want to excel at? A dozen interests pull at you, and no matter how hard you try, you can't commit to just one. Society calls you a dilettante, someone who is a jack of all trades, but a master of none. And the anxiety that comes with that label is immense. It can feel like your greatest strength, your curiosity, is also your biggest career liability. If you feel this way, you're not lazy, no matter what society might think. You're a scanner. You're paralyzed by choice because every path feels like a part of who you are. You're not afraid of hard work. In fact, you work the hardest when something truly interests you. What you fear isn't effort. It's that choosing one thing might mean killing off the rest of yourself. This is the classic scanner's dilemma, perfectly captured in the phrase, "I could do anything if I only knew what it was." Hi, I'm Jojo, and today we're going to prove that your curiosity isn't a weakness, it's your greatest career asset. I'll show you how to design a life that doesn't force you to choose just one path, and saves you years of confusion, frustration, and wasted effort. First, we need to understand why the old career advice can feel like a cage. For the last century, the world has worshipped the specialist. We were told to go a mile deep into one narrow field. This works perfectly in what researchers call a kind learning environment. In a kind world, the I-shaped person, someone with one deep pillar of knowledge, dominates. But that is not the world we live in anymore, is it? The world we're learning in today is a wicked environment. The rules keep changing, and the patterns are anything but obvious. Think about the difference between a chess player and an emergency room doctor. A chess player operates in a kind environment. The rules are fixed. The board is predictable. Every move gives immediate feedback. An ER doctor lives in a wicked one. No two cases are the same. The rules shift with every patient, and what worked last time might fail completely today. In a wicked world like this, the hyper-specialist doesn't just struggle, they develop blind spots. To be clear, we absolutely need specialists. Their depth of knowledge is immensely valuable. The issue isn't that specialization is wrong. The issue is treating it as the only valid path, using a single standard to judge everyone. That mindset leaves people like you feeling inadequate, when in reality, your brain is wired for a different kind of world. To build a career that actually fits how you think, stop defining yourself by job titles and start thinking in structures. The classic I-shaped profile is the specialist, deep expertise in one narrow area. At the other extreme is the dash-shaped generalist, wide exposure, very little depth. Many people get stuck here, knowing a bit about everything but lacking a solid core. That lack of depth creates constant anxiety, because it feels like there's nothing firm to stand on. But there are other models. One of the most powerful for curious minds is the M-shaped professional, often called a polymath. Imagine your first pillar is product management. You go deep there, understanding users, shipping products, making decisions that move the business forward. That's your economic engine. Your second pillar is storytelling. You learn how to simplify ideas, craft narratives, and align people around a vision. And the connecting layer is your curiosity about human psychology and culture. Suddenly, you're not just a product manager. You're someone who can build products people actually want and explain why they matter. Steve Jobs is a great example of an M-shaped professional. Steve Jobs wasn't the best engineer. He wasn't a pure designer either. His depth came from two strong pillars: product intuition, storytelling, and taste. And his horizontal interests, calligraphy, design, human psychology, and art, allowed him to connect technology with emotion. That combination is why Apple didn't just make devices. It created experiences people felt attached to. The ability that makes this possible for a polymath is called far transfer. A specialist mostly relies on near transfer, using a skill on problems that look almost the same. A polymath works differently. They recognize the underlying pattern in one field and carry it into a completely different one. An athlete who understands pacing, recovery, and momentum might spot a smarter way to structure a long-term business strategy. That's far transfer. It's the ability to see the rhythm beneath the system, not just the surface details. And all those interests you've picked up over the years, the ones that seemed random or impractical, they're not clutter. They're your personal library of patterns, the raw material your mind draws from to create insights other people simply can't see. So how do you actually design an M-shaped life? It starts with a different approach: serial mastery. You can't build every pillar at the same time. That just pulls you back into shallow, scattered effort. Instead, you choose one pillar and commit to it for a season. 6 months, a year, maybe a little longer. And this is where most scanners freeze. Which one do I choose first? The paralysis comes from thinking the choice is permanent. It isn't. You're not deciding for your entire life. You're deciding for this chapter. A smart first pillar is often the one that brings stability, the skill that can turn into a good enough job. Or it might be the one that currently lights you up with the most energy and momentum. Pick one. Then give yourself full permission to focus. You build that leg until it's solid, until you've mastered the essential 80%. Not world class, not perfect, just fluent enough to handle most real problems without constantly looking for instructions. When your curiosity in that area feels complete for now, you make a deliberate move forward. This isn't quitting out of boredom or fear. This is strategic quitting. It's not an escape. It's a graduation. You're consciously choosing to begin building the next pillar. This brings us to a second strategy. If your mind naturally leans toward exploration, it's often wise to anchor yourself with a job that offers stability without exhausting your mental bandwidth. Many well-known polymaths did exactly this. Charles Darwin, for example, spent years in relatively quiet, structured work and observation. That stable rhythm gave his mind the space to develop ideas that reshaped how we see life itself. So your day job may need a reframe. It's not just a source of income, it's a strategic foundation. A low-drain role gives you a surplus of your most valuable currency, mental energy. And that surplus is what you invest in building your other pillars. A high-passion, high-pressure job can sound glamorous, but if it consumes more than you have to give, it leaves no room for the curiosity your brain depends on. The final piece is a system. Because let's be honest, a scanner's mind produces more ideas than it can ever hold. You're a high-output idea engine, but your working memory is a tiny workspace. If finished thoughts never leave the table, there's no room to build new ones. Trying to store everything in your head guarantees overwhelm. That's why you need an external place, a trusted system, to capture, park, and return to your passing fascinations without losing them or letting them drown you. The writer Ryan Holiday has published multiple best-selling books, and one of his biggest advantages is a simple system of capturing ideas. He didn't wait for inspiration to strike or try to write an entire book at once. He collected small thoughts, quotes, observations, questions, and stored them in a personal archive. Over time, those fragments connected, and the books slowly assembled themselves. You can do the same. When you suddenly get obsessed with urban planning for a few days, don't fight it, capture it. Drop notes into a simple system like Notion, Obsidian, or even a notes app. Then, when the interest fades, you can let it go without guilt, because nothing is lost. Years later, while working on a business strategy or content idea, you might rediscover those notes and realize that the way cities manage traffic and zones is exactly how your project needs to be structured. That's the moment when curiosity turns into leverage. But it only happens if you save the dots so you can connect them later. As the philosopher Seneca put it, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. So let's bring it all together. You're not unfocused. You're not lacking discipline. You're a scanner, a potential polymath. Your mind isn't built for a rigid, one-track world. It's built to connect ideas across domains, to act as a bridge between different ways of thinking. This path isn't always easy. Real mastery still takes time. But having a map for how your mind works replaces self-blame with calm and confusion with quiet confidence. Choose your first pillar. Build it with intention. Use your job as a stable platform, not a cage. And create an external system to hold your endless sparks of curiosity. You were never meant to master just one thing. You were meant to see how everything connects. Thank you for watching. If this resonated with you, subscribe for more videos on building a meaningful, curiosity-driven life, and I'll see you in the next one.